What's up, everybody? Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. No, I'm just playing it. Welcome to Dr. B Addiction Recovery. You guys know I'm not Dr. B. I am Nicole from Discovering Nicole. I am here because tonight we're going to talk about Adderall for meth dependence. Okay, so this has been like a topic that has been like floating around TikTok for the last month or so. A lot of people are sharing their experiences because some people's doctors are starting to utilize Adderall for like a MAT treatment for meth addiction. You guys know that I was a meth addict for over 15 years, okay? Intravenous methamphetamine addict. And so when I heard the idea, not being a doctor, being a layman, I thought, wow, that's a great idea. That could really help people, right? Well, a lot of the times when I don't know something for sure, I will ask Dr. B. So this evening I was on the phone and I called Dr. B and I was like, hey, I got to ask you a question about MAT treatment for meth addiction. And I was like, why don't people do Adderall? Why don't doctors use Adderall to treat people who have meth dependence? And that's when he told me what he thinks or what he knows. So Dr. B is going to join me. He's going to come on and he's going to teach us all about the situation. Because you guys know, I'm not a doctor. I'm just a person who thinks, okay, you could get that person on a low dose, like extended release, and you could maintain them, call them in for pill counts, drug test them, get them in some kind of recovery program or outpatient, and help them to maintain their life, kind of like if they were on buprenorphine or methadone, right? And so we're going to see what Dr. B has to say. It's obviously not that simple, so we'll see what he has to say. He's, the brains of this operation. So I'm just really excited that all you guys are here. If you're here and you're in recovery, why don't you guys comment your name and like your sobriety date and where you're from? I would love to see like where you guys are from. Are you from another country, Canada, the United States, New York, Texas, Arkansas? And let me know where you're from and how long you've been in recovery. And if you're not in recovery, that's okay too. Okay. And if you're somebody who watches Dr. B's channel because you're struggling with benzodiazepine dependence and you don't want to be on benzos anymore, or you're in withdrawal, protracted withdrawal, or tolerance withdrawal from benzodiazepines, and you watch the channel, like, we want you to know that we're here to support you. And if you need any help, you can always give us a call and I will help you guys get an appointment to see Dr. B, because I know a lot of you guys have been calling the 1-800 number. And if I ever miss your phone call, please text me. Okay. If I ever miss your phone call, text me. I will answer you right back on text message. That's the best way if I don't get you. So I just don't want any of you guys to ever feel like we're not, like I'm not there for you or I'm not hearing you, because I used to be on Xanax for over 13 years, and I was taking like 6 or 7 bars at a time. And when I got off Xanax, it was cold turkey, and it was the worst experience of my life. It was worse than opiate withdrawal. It was worse than getting off of methamphetamine. It was so painful for me. So I just want you guys to know that, we're here to support you, and you can always give us a call on the 1-800 number. And of course, I'll put it in the chat and all that stuff. Okay. Okay, cool. Hey, MP. Hey, Natalie. Hey, Jesse. Hey, Andrew. What's up? Thank y'all for being here. Yeah, Dr. B's going to be here soon. I'm excited. I'm so glad you guys are all coming in. And if y'all don't mind, help me share the video. I'm going to get busy sharing it on Facebook while we're chit-chatting here, okay? And I told Dr. B today when I was talking to him on the phone, I was like, I'm going to become a doctor. So that way I can do this. But I just really am curious to hear what Dr. B has to say, because obviously he's, super educated and stuff. And in my mind, I just think like in simple terms, like, oh yeah, you could get somebody on Adderall and hopefully that you would be able to maintain them. But there's a lot more like complications and stuff, I guess, that could be part of that. And then I also think about people who have,
I'm having,
hey, what's up?
I'm having some audio problems. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
No, you sound great.
Let me.
Hey, Natalie. Hey, Pixie. You sound good to me, Dr. B, but go ahead. I'm listening. So what I was telling you guys is that I know a lot of us that are in recovery or have struggled with meth addiction in the past. A lot of us had ADHD. Not all of us, but a lot of us do. And so I wonder, like, you know, I wonder what kind of program or what kind of maintenance they could do, because I know that my doctor was giving me Wellbutrin for a maintenance medication for meth addiction. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, like, Wellbutrin worked for me for about 4 or 5 months, but then it just kind of like stopped working. So we'll see what Dr. B has to say about that. I know that other places, I just saw on Work It Health, that Work It Health is giving people Wellbutrin and naltrexone, and they are advertising it as a MAT program for meth addiction at Work It Health. So Work It Health is a telehealth. Oh, hold on. Hey, what's up? Let me see. Oh, yeah. When you came on, I heard you completely clear. It's okay. Don't worry about it. I mean, we'll get it figured out. So Jesse, so I asked Dr. B because I have a friend, her name is Maddie, and then there was another gentleman on TikTok. I saw his TikTok, and they are both being treated with Adderall for their addiction to methamphetamine. So that's what kind of like sparked the conversation, and why I was asking, why I started talking about it on online, and then I got to talking to Dr. B today, and I was like, hey, I need to ask you a question, and like we should really talk about this because I got questions, you know? So that's how it all began. For the most part, anybody that I know that is close to me has had experience with trying to seek some kind of maintenance for meth, has always been put into a Wellbutrin and naltrexone combination of medication. And that's what that telehealth doctor is doing that I was just telling you guys about. Like, they're advertising MAT treatment for meth addiction, and it is naltrexone and Wellbutrin. And then they're also doing another medication called estopramate. I have to look it up, but I'll read it to you guys right now, because they're the first telehealth place that I've seen like advertising that they have MAT treatment for meth addiction. So let me see. He's getting his computer up, y'all, so it will be y'all can hear him because it's not doing right or something. Okay, I want to read this to y'all about the meth addiction. Okay, so it says telehealth treatment for meth and cocaine addiction. Okay, 83% of Work It members receive treatment for opioid use disorder. Now we're bringing that same quality of care to people who struggle with methamphetamine, cocaine, and prescription stimulants. So let me tell you what they're prescribing, okay? Because I find this kind of crazy. Okay, just because in my experience that medication didn't work, but it might work for somebody else. Okay, so bupropion, Wellbutrin, naltrexone, mirtazapine, topiramate, and citalopram. Those are the medications that they're offering for meth addiction mat treatment. So, yeah. Well, listen, I'm going to stay backstage. You come on and talk to everybody. And then if you need me, you pull me back up. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. I wonder why you're, it's like you can't, so you couldn't even hear me when I was talking? Crap. Well, you guys, are y'all okay with Dr. B coming on if you can't come up and ask questions, if he can just talk for a little bit? I think everybody wants to see you. You got 32 people in here waiting for your debut. Okay. All right. That's what I'll do. You got your mic and everything where it says allow mic, allow, the camera and all that's hooked up. Okay. You got your speakers and everything turned up? Okay. And I'll just keep my phone on so that way you can hear me. Okay. All right, you guys. He's going to go on TikTok and let everybody know we're live, and then he's going to come on. Okay. All right. I'll hang up. Bye-bye. Okay. He's coming, y'all. Sorry about that. Yeah. So I don't know what's going on with his speakers or whatever, but we'll figure it out. Even if what he was wanting is he knows that a lot of you guys like to come on and talk with him, after we get done talking, and he was concerned about not being able to hear you. So if you guys do decide to come up and share, what I'll do is I'll keep my phone on, so that way hopefully he'll be able to hear you through my phone. So we're just gonna work it out, honey. We'll make it work. So let me get that link for y'all. Oh, there she is. Hello. Okay. Yeah, but it's okay. Like everybody on here was like, it's okay. They don't have to come up and ask questions. They just want to see you. Okay.
Okay, Nicole, I think I'm on. And hi, everybody. How are you? I'm sorry I'm running a couple of minutes late. It's nice to see everybody. Unfortunately, I'm having technical difficulties tonight of all nights, but I am really happy to be back on live. I got you on the screen here, and I want to see everything streaming. So Nicole's here. Nicole, thanks for hosting this. And Nicole's going to sort of facilitate, because I want everyone to be able to come on and ask questions if they want to. Hi, everybody. I'm going to take a look at the comments. Hey, hi, Mark. Thank you. Thanks, guys. And hopefully Nicole can do this. And I think a topic that's been out there floating around from what Nicole tells me, and she showed me a TikTok video of someone that had made a video saying that the way to go for stimulant abuse, and I'm going to include cocaine in that because some of the what's called meta-analysis that have been of late in the last couple of years that reviewed this subject, this data, included cocaine. And so I'm going to include cocaine in that. TikTok, again, hi, everybody. If you want to see me live, go on YouTube, Dr. B Addiction Recovery. I'm on there. There's a whole bunch of cool people on here right now. Nicole's on live with me. She's going to facilitate. I'm having some audio issues, so I can't hear you if you come on, but I can talk to no end, and I got Nicole on the phone. Hi, Nicole. How are you?
Hey, Dr. B. What's up?
Not much. Just been really busy, and I love seeing everybody on here. It's so cool that I feel at home right now, and it's been a while we've done a live.
We have missed you. The people have spoken. I've been telling you we want you to come on and do a live, and so I'm so glad that we were able to get you on and make time for real.
Yeah, I'm glad too, and I miss everyone too. Look, we're working really. Let me do a plug-in, which I never ever do. We're working really hard to free up my time as the channel is growing, as all of the wonderful supporters are growing, as the feedback is growing. It seems like people love this stuff. Just last week on Facebook, which I got to get Nicole to show me how to use, we had 2 million views on one of the posts that we had put up. So we're working really hard to get there. All of this is produced and paid for by us. We have an amazing team. Tell us who you are, Nicole, the team.
Socialty Pro, the #1 digital marketing company in the world. That's who we are.
And I don't get paid for this. I actually pay them over the years. They take care of all of my stuff. But anyway, we're working to get me on more regularly. And any support, any contribution, Patreon, as easy as $3 a month with 35,000 subscribers goes a long way. That's my first plug-in in my life. I'm trying to get used to it. Thank you, everybody. Let's get started on this topic. Again, TikTok, get on YouTube, Dr. B Addiction Recovery live. Nicole, go. You want to get us off the ground and ask me some questions about some of the stuff you're seeing out there on social media, things that people are saying about using prescription stimulants. Really, the ones they've looked at is methylphenidate, Adderall. What's the other one? Modafinil, and I think that said methylphenidate. That's about it. But go ahead, Nicole. Talk to me.
Okay, so the other day I was on TikTok and I saw a video of a gentleman talking about how he is on Adderall for his methamphetamine addiction. And so it got all of us to thinking, all of us that are on, TikTok, and it got me to thinking. I thought, wow, that could work. That would be a great idea, but I'm just a regular person, so I don't know all the ins and outs of everything. And so I started the discussion. Like, I posted a video, we were all talking about it, and that's what kind of like sparked me to want to ask you your opinion, because whenever like I don't know something or I need to like get somebody who knows something, I come to you. And so I was like, I need to ask Dr. B this.
You're too gracious, but thank you. Okay, I don't know where to begin and how to begin. I'm not long-winded. I'm trying to get the world out there to get used to complicated explanations that I try to distill in an easy way. Their answers are not just, yes, you can use this stuff. You can't, that's not how the world works, guys. And the answer is not just no. That's a plug-in 01, okay? It's much more complex than that. On the surface of it, let's sort of dissect what we're talking about here, right? We are talking about what is the model that we are referring to here when we discuss replacing cocaine or amphetamines, methamphetamines, with amphetamines, with prescription amphetamines. What are we saying from a 30,000-foot view? We're talking about what's called agonist replacement therapy, okay? What is the poster child for agonist replacement therapy? most of you will immediately probably say medication assisted treatment, okay? Opiate, okay? You're absolutely 100% right. But it's even, there's another one. There's, I don't know, I can't, there's no hands to raise. But before medication assisted treatment, the first one being methadone, the second one, new and improved, being buprenorphine. Long before that was nicotine replacement, right? That's
Yeah.
an agonist replacement therapy, and it has to have certain qualities to have utility. It has to be long acting, it has to deal with cravings, it has to deal with withdrawals. Potentially, it has to have some blocking capacity if you use the other stuff. Hopefully, it doesn't have the euphoria, etc., etc. It's a big topic, guys, and there's a lot of nuances, but I just want to make it simple. When you think about it, you want to say, yeah, that makes great sense. It works. And if that's the case, why is it that every doctor or psychiatrist or every other guy you go into doesn't replace methamphetamines with these drugs? They have, and it's been tried. I've tried it many times myself in different situations. I'm going to leave that there and move on to the fact about the studies. In the mid 2000s, early 2000s, there was multiple studies. They pulled all these studies together, right? And they do a meta-analysis. What that means is you take all of the studies that are out there, all kinds of designs, you pull them together, you do a whole bunch of statistical analysis on those, and it's very complicated and complex, and then you see what the results are. When they looked at those, they saw, yeah, there's something here. But those studies originally, before they did the meta-analysis on those in the mid-2000s, uh, uh, something was lacking, right? The design of the studies weren't all that great. The length of the studies weren't on that great. Uh, 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 the subjects they picked weren't all that great. And you just were left with this like, where do we go from here? What do we do? Because the answer is not straightforward where you can come in, you have a methamphetamine disorder, I can replace it with Ritalin for everybody, and I'm going to get great outcomes for most people. Since the mid 2000s, there was a whole bunch of more studies. And recently, as of like a couple of years ago, I think they did another meta analysis of these better designed studies to answer this question. And it included, I think, cocaine in there as well. And we can say, after I give you guys what the studies have shown, I'll move on to clinical experience and my own clinical experience and sort of translation of the studies. We can say that there's absolutely, potentially, possibly something there where we can use highly potent ones. That's why modafinil didn't really work. It's not very potent as something that releases dopamine. And what is amongst norepinephrine and some of the other monoamines, what methamphetamines and cocaine do is give large releases of dopamine for people. This most recent study showed that that you have to use a high potency stimulant, Ritalin. You have to use it at higher doses, so it's even higher dosing. And they can't really make it when they say sustained remission. They're talking about 3 to 4 weeks while somebody's in treatment and regularly being monitored. And in those, and that group of people, they didn't walk away and start using methamphetamines for the most part. I can say it's very promising, and I can tell you what's lacking with it. So that's where we're at. Now, Nicole showed me a video of a guy talking about he was an 18 years methamphetamine user, and he pointed out most recently that there are, Nicole, you still there? We got some things going on with Nicole here. He pointed out recently that there was some studies, and they all show definitively, these are the latest research, that the way to go is agonist therapy replacement. That's harm reduction. It's working for me. This is the way to go. Things aren't that simple. And this is not a situation where every person should go and start prescription stimulants to get off of methamphetamines. That's where we're at. Give me 1 second. I've lost Nicole. I want to get her back on here because I do not have audio. I'm reading.
Computer.
Huh?
Computer died.
Oh, wow, this sucks.
Do you want me to come on my phone?
Can you?
Yeah, I'll be there in a minute.
How?
Well, I'm going to go on. You'll see. I'll be there in a second.
On your phone, but I can still talk to you on here?
Yeah, I'm going to go on from my other phone, and I'm going to be on my phone. You'll see. I'll be there in a second.
Okay. All right.
All right, bye.
So at a clinical level, what you do see is when you get a patient in, some of the things that have to really be addressed first, okay? If there's patients nowadays are a lot more complex than they used to be. And you're usually dealing with polysubstances, and the leading substance is usually opiates. That needs to be treated first, okay? And you're going to have some secondary effect, usually on the methamphetamine misuse, use, or abuse, okay? Get them on medication or treatment for opiates. That will help you to some extent. After that, once you do that, the question of being able to, if that's the case, and if it's not, let's say it's just straight methamphetamine abuse, I can tell you that if there's a real honest history of missed attention deficit disorder, and that is something the patient has been struggling with for many years, it's been misdiagnosed, it has not been diagnosed, the patient's had secondary issues because of that, jail issues, comorbid psychiatric disorders, et cetera, et cetera. When you start to, let me get Nicole on here. Nicole, are you on? Okay, you're on?
Yep, we're rocking and rolling.
Okay, I got a little set off because you went off, and I got worried because people might want questions. Okay, all right.
Sorry about that.
I don't know if you followed, but I went through the studies here, and then I was really getting into, let's take a pure methamphetamine addict, let's call it that, and they come in. The question of whether replacement therapy works for them, we want to consider a couple of things. Let's say you come in, and let's say the doctor goes with Adderall, and let's say he replaces your methamphetamines with Adderall, and let's say he puts you on 30 milligrams 3 times a day, okay? That's a monster dose of Adderall, and that can have severe cardiovascular and neurological catastrophes waiting, no different than methamphetamines. Is that better than being on methamphetamines? Well, I would say I still think that is better, because you're talking about a much more surgical solution than a guy going on the street picking up junk, and now I have him on this. If you were going to do that, and if the guy was going to stay clean off of it, the other problem you have is you look like a pill mill in today's environment. And I think if we were going to go down that route, it should be extremely structured, where the people have to pick up daily or weekly prescriptions, and a lot of urine drug testing. That is one avenue. And again, we're years away from getting to that situation. And I'm talking about a pure situation. What I've noticed most of the time is that you can replace it there's a lot of diversion going on, or they start upping the dose, and they have the same problems because abuse is abuse. They'll be staying up for days. They'll be going into psychosis. They'll be running out of their prescription early. Okay. So what I'm saying is, in that pure situation where it's abuse and no other comorbid disease, opiate use disorder, ADHD, ADD, anxiety, and so on, it would potentially work if the data supports it eventually, where it's very structured in the way you get the medication, like methadone clinics. I've tried it. Many other people have tried it, and it doesn't work. There are situations where I do see it work, but you have to get the patient to see where. By the way, the other thing about the Adderall is you can't be giving them short acting stuff. You got to say, hey, dude, we're going to do long acting. I don't want you pop. And it's really hard with the pure meth addict, and it doesn't seem to work. Where I have seen it work and change a few people's lives around, and I have no problem trying it out, is when there's an underlying ADD, ADHD type of disorder that's been going on for years, and it's been missed and misdiagnosed. And in those cases, you can really turn around that person's life by getting him on this medication, and really keeping a close eye on it and the amount you're giving him. That's the enchilada. Let me know what your feedbacks are. And there's somebody on here, Andy. I think he wants to ask a question, but go ahead, Nicole.
Well, I was going to tell you, that's what we got talking about. So as we discussed it more on the video, somebody commented and they said, you know, to use Adderall to treat meth dependence, a person would have to be like, say, like a person like me. Nicole's been sober for, so many years. She's been in her recovery. She's doing well. And maybe she has an underlying issue, ADHD. This could change my life, getting on medication that could help that. And it would actually make it to where I could actually do better, like at my job and all that kind of stuff. But then I do understand, like, a person who comes off the street, they've been on meth, they are like used to shooting it and being in psychosis. You give them a prescription of Adderall, they walk off and they're taking it and they're staying up all night, going into psychosis, having a mental breakdown because they're not sleeping and they're just prolonging the situation even more. So I do understand like how it could not be helpful for certain people, but then I do see how it could be helpful for certain people. Why is it that, like, how did they decide that methadone and Suboxone would be good for like most opiate addicts? And I know opioids are totally different than methamphetamine, but how do they like kind of decide that?
We have the data is there. We have robust data going back many years. Okay, and in some ways, opiates are much less complex than stimulants. At the end of the day, it's all dopamine release, but the amount of dopamine release and the parts of the brain that are affected by each one are very different. In some ways, opiates are extremely clean in their pharmacology and the neuroanatomy and the behavioral manifestations where we're talking about. I think the stimulants are a lot more dirty and complex. By the way, you mentioned something. I wasn't talking about someone like you who's been clean for many years and starting you on Adderall. I would only consider starting you on a psychostimulant, not necessarily Adderall, if you were having extreme life difficulties. We validated an underlying ADD, ADHD. And even then, like I said, you'd have to be having some sort of a job where you'd have to show me, look, this is really affecting the quality of my life, because for me, it's not worth it for someone like you. But I was talking about the active user, where it might be a huge secondary to the initial issue being ADD, ADHD. But with the opiates, we just have great, robust data. I mean, we've had methadone in use forever, right? And then Suboxone just worked like a charm, and the data was popped out right away.
Okay, you see that question I popped on the screen for you?
Same thing with all of these. Just so you know, the data is on most. It's on. So again, I wouldn't know because I would really think about the data is on modafinil, and we realize that it's not that good. Why is it not that good? Because it doesn't have that dopamine rush. Okay, what showed to have some value was high dose. I think it was Ritalin, right? Because basically people were just getting probably a kick off of it, and they were able to stay off uh, um, the dope that they were using before that.
So having them have that high dose at having them have giving them a high dose is like helping them, because when they're coming in off the street, they're used to being getting that big rush of euphoria, that big dopamine, and so to even get them to want to even stay, they were having to give them a large amount to get them to the point where they're where they feel like they're actually maintaining, and then they weren't able to keep that maintained, correct?
Yeah, but you don't. It's not even that. It's the fact that the withdrawals of meth suck, and we know the depletion of serotonin and norepinephrine and all that stuff. That withdrawal is really yucky, and you want to mitigate the withdrawals as much as you can, and secondarily the cravings. Should I also bring Andy up here? Yeah. Remember, I can't hear. Don't go anywhere.
Oh, I'm saying.
Hi, Andy.
Oh, hey, Dr. B, how you going?
Oh, hold on. Go ahead, Andy. Say something again.
Hey, Dr. B.
He said, hey, Dr. B.
Hi, Andy.
Sorry, I was literally going to ask that same question about disoxin. I was just thinking, if you started off at, say, 10 times 5 milligrams, then tapered down gradually.
Yeah, so if I hear correctly, the question is tapering off of prescription psychostimulants. Is that the question? Is that correct?
No, off methamphetamine, using disoxin or pharmaceutical grade methamphetamine.
Nicole, so is the question
using the disoxin, right? Using the disoxin to get off of methamphetamine, correct, Andy?
Yes, correct.
And the question was tapering. Is that what the question was?
Yep.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah. So I don't have large scale randomized placebo-controlled trials to answer that. So it's really difficult. That's why there needs to be so much deep research, because it's not that researchers don't know and the science don't know what the hell they're talking about. It's to give that answer formally and with comfort, I'd have to have hell of a lot of clinical experience doing exactly what you're asking, and or there has to be large scale data doing exactly what you're asking with the particular psychostimulant. And so my best clinical guess from previous experience across the board, and not with a particular one, is that it usually hasn't worked for me, and the data also hasn't supported that it works. Even when these guys talk about keeping somebody off of cocaine long term, and I keep looking at it and I'm like, they're talking about 3 or 4 weeks. That's not long term, right? The problem nowadays is it's all about money and who's making money where what, right? So these studies are probably, and by the way, I got to look into that. A lot of these studies are funded by the pharmaceutical companies, right? And so you got to look who's funding what, but you'd like to see one funded by a government agency or somebody not involved, and keep this study going for 6 months, right? Give me 6 months of good quality data. Don't hide the negative results. Make sure you let me know any adverse events and effects that happens, because you guys, as we talk about this, and they're talking about high dose. Let's say high dose amphetamines worked for prescription amphetamine, psychostimulants work for methamphetamine abuse. The only reason I would be okay with it if they showed me that, look, you can put someone on 90 milligrams of Adderall or something a day and you can keep. The only reason I would be like, let's go for it is simply this. I don't want you out there on the streets hanging out with drug dealers and buying crap with fentanyl in it and everything else. I'd rather have you in a controlled, sustained environment. But in this case, there's still one major difference than the general harm reduction of putting you on Suboxone or methadone. You being on high dose prescription stimulants still has significant cardiovascular and neuropsychiatric long-term consequences with brain changes. That's a very different conversation than opiate replacement therapy. So I'd sit you there and I would talk to you maybe twice before we move forward. And I would really work hard. All the things people try and do with Suboxone, let me get off this stuff as quickly as possible. I would really try to get this down to a place where I could sleep at night, right? I don't want you walking around on 90 milligrams. Basically, I've in some ways become your drug dealer. It's just weird to me. But I have to justify it rationally and say, okay, if it does work, he's not out on the street. She's not out on the street. Maybe I can keep them from getting HIV, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, spending out their bank account. They can be safe at home. There's no trauma, assault, rape, whatever it is. That's the only way I could justify it if the data showed it for a long period of time, 6 months to a year, for the particular drug we're talking about. Does that help, Andy?
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
He said, thank you so much for your time, and he appreciates it.
Thank you, Andy, for coming on. I appreciate you.
Yes.
We're doing this, you guys. We're doing this. We're making it work, Dr. B.
One way or another. Hey, TikTok, we are on YouTube, Dr. B Addiction Recovery. We are talking about agonist replacement therapy for stimulant abuse. I am including cocaine and methamphetamines in there. And the discussion, I guess, that's out there happening is regarding can you use prescription psychostimulants as medication-assisted treatment and a harm reduction strategy to get somebody off of street stimulants such as methamphetamines. Let's look at some of these. You want to look at some of these? Is there any? There is some. What about the new longer acting? Yeah, same thing. I know they are a slower release, but from what I understand, so Maria, what you are asking is exactly the type of thing you would want from a replacement therapy, in addition to the fact that you want high dosing or potent medication. But you want long acting, like you said up there. I'm getting old, man. You guys you want long acting and you want slow release, right? You want that. And the same, these are basic principles in substance abuse and addiction. I want to replace my Xanax to something that is slower release. By the way, Xanax is not that it's so short term. It's that it immediately rushes and crosses the blood-brain barrier. So I want something that does. So you're right. And again, potentially there can be something there, right? And Vyvanse would even be better because it's used because of its potentially less abuse potential. That's the kind of thing. But again, Maria, I can't say, yeah, it works. We just don't have that data. And if someone's out there saying this is the way to go, it's not. And I'm sure many clinicians have tried different ones, as I have, and it's not that simple and straightforward.
Gotcha. Also, look at this comment about the ADHD med shortage. It says med stimulants right now too. Who knows when that is going to change? Ritalin is difficult for most pharmacies to get, as well as Adderall.
I know there's a shortage now, but is it always difficult, Maria? Because I actually have a very small group of patients that we treat with this stuff very, very We treat all kinds of things in my clinic. Alexis does. I told her to pop on here tonight, and we take on very difficult cases. No one wants to, but so we do have some patients on this stuff. I know there's a shortage. I didn't know. Is it always a shortage, or is it? We got to think about the shortage. Yeah, there's a shortage right now.
Yeah, and it's just recently got really bad where there's people like making videos about it because they haven't been able to get their medication and they're like in a bad way. I want you to answer this question for MP. He says, ask the doctor, does he refuse to prescribe any type of drug replacement therapy if that type of replacement drug therapy can cause euphoria / intoxication in the patient?
You got to be.
He will do what he needs to do for you that will help you and better your life.
Yeah,
he doesn't refuse to prescribe. Like Dr. B prescribes buprenorphine. We prescribe benzos for some people. We prescribe Adderall for some people. So all those drugs can, cause euphoria or intoxication. He just makes sure that he prescribes medication that is fit for that patient. That is for them, not just giving it to them because they want it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, in fact, MP, almost everything I prescribe can cause intoxication and euphoria.
Yeah.
But, I'll tell you guys, he brought that up. And, I know people, one of the sticklers about buprenorphine products is this, and people always bring this up. People are getting high off this stuff. Let me tell you, I am the king of buprenorphine. We prescribe thousands out of my clinic. And you know what? It's rare, so rare that I remember when it happens. And just recently, I had a situation. There's a wonderful kid that I've known for a few years, very, very bad addict in so many different ways. And this is maybe I can almost count the third person that I'm really stickler about. He's currently on 24 milligrams of Suboxone, but I am so adamant about the fact that I want him, he's on 16. I want him to take 8 milligrams twice a day. I am such a stickler about it with him that I'm hoping one of the family members is dispensing the medication right now twice a day, and he has to see me every 2 weeks. Why? Not because he's a bad guy, not because I want to police him. That is the nature of his addiction at this time. Remember, chronic, relapsing, remitting, different crap pops up at different times. Some people worse, some people better, but it's chipping away at it in imperfect ways sometimes for many people. Then you add it all up over 5 years. He happens to be one of the very few that does this with buprenorphine products. I hope that helps.
You're right. I don't know a lot of people that choose bupe to be their drug of choice, but I have met some. I met this one kid who was snorting his Suboxone, and he would just swear to me that he got him just so high every day, but he snorted it every single day, and I just was like, why would you do that?
So, Nicole, I didn't mean to cut you off. That's interesting you say that, because you find this issue in many different shapes and colors. In this kid's case, no, he's not abusing anything, right? The way he sees it is, I was taking a couple of 100 milligrams of Oxy a day. I think he was on. We got him off about 3-4 years ago. And so in his mind, the way he justifies it is that I'm not abusing. I need that kick to get going in the morning. And in fact, he started adding prescription stimulants to it from another physician, which we caught on the cures report. And I'm trying to tell him, look, I love you, man. You're not in trouble. I know you. I've known your mother for a while now. No, we got to get a handle on this. You have to stop making decisions. Let us make the decision for now, and so on. So the way you describe it is straight up intentional abuse. There's volition there and intentionality. Our kid is not intentionally abusing, right? That is the nature of addiction. He is lying to himself in many different complex ways to get on with his day. Yours, the one you're describing, same thing. At the end of the day, the medication is abused, but he's not thinking it. Hi, Andrew.
Do you see this question from Marion Claire? Where do I start to get someone I love the help they need for meth?
Where do you live?
If you live in California, you can call us and I'll get you hooked up with Dr. B and Alexis. But like as a parent or a loved one, Dr. B, like what would be if it's like let's say if I was your daughter and I was addicted to methamphetamine and you just started to realize it, I was coming home, staying up all hours of the night, not doing good in school. Like what would you do as like a parent of somebody that was struggling with meth addiction?
Interestingly, a place I frequent, I have certain places I go to all the time, whether it's for my meals or my relaxation spot. I was just approached the same question from a real parent in this situation. Uh, and that would depend, Nicole. I'm always cautious about answering this question, right? Because at the end of the day, the parent makes a decision, and I give you general responses, and one of those is don't you can love the child, don't enable them. And they're like, well, what's the difference? When do I do what? And each family situation is different, right? If the child is crossing your boundaries, if the child is draining your bank account, if the child is crossing over rules and regulations that you've created within your own reality that fits your household, you're enabling them, right? And it's a little frightening to step and put your foot down, but it has to be done. Because if you're enabling an addict, one of the things I've noticed is the discussion and the back and forth within the family is nonsense, right? They're playing guilt trips on you, they're pulling this on you, they're making empty promises. One of the things that I've seen, if you look at the dialogue within narcissistic relationship structures, and it's really a sort of gaslighting. The addict is gaslighting their loved ones and dragging you into their fantasy and trying to put carrots in front of you. If you do this, I'll do this. And it's never delivered. And if it's open and you know what's going on and everyone's talking about it, that's even a little bit easier. Okay, you have a problem, and you have to let the person know. At the same time, this is a big one for me. Wherever your boundaries are, and you got to talk to your local person or your therapist or your doctor. One of the things I really advocate is, no matter what you choose to do not be judgmental. Do not criticize and bring up the past. And always make sure that that individual, if it's your child, your grandson, or whatever, understands or hears. They understand, but they'll tell you, yeah, right, that you love them deeply, you are pained deeply, and you're not doing this because you enjoy it. You truly believe this is the best way to go for the hopes of their recovery. And when they're ready to take that positive step, tell them, when you want to take that positive step, I'm here and I'll take that step with you. There's no judgment here. There's no criticism here. We've gotten here. If you feel that it's my fault and that's your reality, I understand why you're angry at me. That's your reality at this time. I don't care. I want you to get better. I want you to live. I want you to prosper. And I want to be there for you, but not in the way you're demanding of me right now. And that's the big picture of how I see this thing. You
I think
can't.
that's good.
Yeah.
For real.
It's painful, right? It is absolutely. I can't imagine a parent watching their child spiral down the shithole of substance abuse. And I can't imagine how hard it is. I just watched this parent where the girl was about to take off and they wanted money, or they want to leave the house at 2 or 3 in the morning. And this was an older young lady. And, how do you say no as a mom? You're like, well, what if something happens to her if she goes out there and I don't give her money? What if she starts taking off and she gets assaulted, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? It's tough. I just think that has to be done. But when you do it, you got to tell them you love them, you support them. And if that's how they see you and all the anger and hatred they have towards you at the time, that's their view. You understand why they would be angry if that's true. That's not something that's of any utility to discuss now, but you are there. And that's what I have to say about that, Nicole. No, Black Widow. I do. That's a cool name. I do not think taking 3 Suboxones a day is too much. The literature has always shown that the average dose across all the people on the planet ends up being between 16 and 24 milligrams, which means 2 to 3 pieces.
Yeah, Black Widow, my husband is on 20 milligrams, and he's been on 20 milligrams for 7.5 years, and it saved his life, and that's what he's stable on, and he's doing really great. So, like, around here, like, we don't ever shame you for what dose you're on. We just support you where you're at. You know, you do what you got to do that helps you stay in recovery. It helps you stay healthy, and that's all that matters, because everybody's different. Okay, so Nick says, I was able to quit years of alcohol abuse with 0.5 milligrams. I don't know what, but that's awesome, Nick. We're really proud of you, man.
What is it? What is ADA? I don't know. Tell me, Nick.
That's what I don't know what it is. We'll see what he says. Oh, here it is. Here's the whole question. Drinking 20%. I was able to stop cold turkey with Xanax, 0.5 milligrams a day. How can I now stop taking the Xanax? Oh, good question. We are benzo professionals. Go ahead, Dr. B. Take it away.
I was able to quit alcohol after years of daily that became drinking. I was able to stop cold turkey with Xanax, 0.5 milligrams a day. How can I now stop taking the Xanax alternative? So I don't know how old you are, Nick, and it's kind of interesting because actually benzos are actually the same idea, replacement therapy for alcohol in terms of the receptors they hit, different mechanisms and much more complex. Both of those are complex, but in your case, it happened to work with such a small dose of Xanax of all things, you know, not even Klonopin or the longer acting one. But I don't know what to do to stop that though. Yeah, it did save your life, and that's fine. So what I would do is find a good doctor that kind of understands where you're at and has a good understanding of what happens when you stop, what happens when you go to 0.25. Do you go through withdrawals? Do you have cravings for alcohol? Do you have Xanax withdrawals? Can you go into a seizure? You got to sort all of that out. And at that point, I'm just so you know, I don't know how old you are. I don't think the Xanax at 0.5 is really killing your memory. It could be, I don't know. At that point, I would switch you over to something like Klonopin equivalent dose and do a long-term taper if needed, depending on your withdrawals and cravings.
Yeah. Oh, good. That's what Mark said too. Good job, Mark. Klonopin is the way to go. Okay, let's see. So Black Widow says, I've tried to go down from 3 Suboxone a day, but I'm having trouble sleeping when I take 2.5. So, Dr. B?
Again, there has to, you can't just go, not everybody can go from 3 to 2.5. I don't know what your overall issues are. If the question and the attempt is, hey, I want to get off Suboxone, that's a very individual thing that in my patient population, I very much counsel and advise and do long-term tapers when and if appropriate. Somebody called me out or thought they were calling me out the other day. Again, this is a harm reduction thing. You know, there's this stigma with being on Suboxone. And, you know, if you've been on it on 6 months and you've had 10 years of use, you know, I don't think it's a time to go down. You have to think to yourself, what are the benefits? What are the risks of this medication versus me just coming off of it, cutting down too early, losing my sleep, starting to get cravings, withdrawals. So it's too much for you, obviously. Again, Black Widow, I don't know how to necessarily answer it without. I mean, you'd have to come on and have a conversation, and I don't have answers to this detail without knowing a whole bunch of crap about your clinical background. Sure, it's very possible someone could go from 3 to 2.5 and start having sleep issues. In some cases, I go back up. In some cases, it's appropriate to go down to 2.5. So I add a potential non-addicting sleep aid, right? In some cases, I change the schedule of dosing throughout the day for the Suboxone in 100 different ways. There's a million ways to slice it, but there has to be a million reasons and the appropriate discussion in the background.
Yeah, and I want to say something about Suboxone. I want you guys to not be ashamed to be on Suboxone. When I got on subs in 2015, I felt so much guilt and shame because I had been trying to get sober for over 10 years through abstinence-based recovery in Alcoholics Anonymous. And I kept failing, and I felt like a failure. I felt like a loser. I felt like I wasn't, what was wrong with me? Why can't I get it? And then I got on Suboxone and I was able to maintain sobriety. I was addicted to multiple substances, methamphetamine, cocaine, benzos, and opiates. And I was able to maintain sobriety from all of those drugs. And so what I finally realized after years of being on subs is that it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks about my medication that I'm on. Medication has nothing to do with your recovery. It's all about what you're doing on the healing on the inside, like getting to the root cause of why you were even using drugs in the first place and creating a life that you don't want to escape from anymore, And so don't be ashamed if you're on subs. Please don't be ashamed. There's no shame, and there's such a huge community of people who will support you now in recovery on that.
Is that echo still there when we talk?
I'm trying to be quieter so that way it's not so bad, because I think it's me because you have me on speaker.
Oh, I turned off. Oh, okay, let us know, Mark.
Okay, so I want you to answer this question. S says 5 months ago, I tried meth, and this person has been emailing me too, so I really want you to answer this. They tried meth 5 months ago. They took 4 puffs off a bowl. They want to know if that's going to cause them any long-term effects.
S, are you ruminating over the 4 puffs you took and losing sleep at night? Do you, if it was what happened? My question is, my question would be, did you take anything else? Why did you take that 4 puffs? And if you take 4 puffs of meth, but you're still wondering about, hey, is there long-term effects? Am I screwed? Here's my answer. Don't ruminate over this. Walk away. Have a good life. Understand that you don't want to go down the road of meth. You don't want to go down the road of addiction. It's not going to work out well, and you're okay. Now, I don't know if there's something else going on in your mind that needs to be addressed, or issues that you are concerned about that you might be like, hey, is this the meth causing me? I don't have those answers, my friend, right? So, if there's something significant clinically occurring with you that's concerning you, please see somebody and let them know. But in general, my answer to you is, don't ruminate over that. Walk away. Don't do this stuff again. You're going to be fine. We're all going to be fine. You just push through.
Absolutely. So Camden says, my question is, with the increase in drugs laced with fentanyl, do you believe that we need to find a medication to start using for MAT with meth and cocaine? We were just talking about that. Do you think there needs to be a MAT treatment for meth addiction?
Yeah, so that's a wonderful question. That's what this whole discussion is actually about, Camden. Even without the fentanyl lacing and all the crap that it's causing, badness, I absolutely would love that. And, I was on the substance abuse, mental health, the government side. And there's some stuff in the pipeline, which I haven't looked at yet, guys. I got to go see what's in the pipelines. Yeah, my life would be a lot easier, although I have my own method. And for a lot of people, we get long-term recovery after long-term treatment. I almost sometimes like the fact that there's opiates involved as well, because that gives me some leverage with medication I can use to my advantage for dealing with the meth issues. But yes, I want that stuff to for us to have a good replacement therapy.
Yeah. Okay, Caterix Meow says, what are the long-term side effects of meth use?
Yeah, up to 40% of chronic methamphetamine users end up experiencing psychosis at some point in their career of use, right? We also know that there is long-term chronic fundamental structural changes in the brain in terms of communication and neural networks. Okay, and there's going to be neuropsychiatric issues. There's going to be psychiatric issues, emotional issues, cognitive processing, impulsive, poor decision making. That being said, Nick, the reason I don't really want to say, hey, you're screwed, is because at the same time, whether it's methamphetamine abuse or just aging or traumatic brain injury, I'm going to tell you guys this. Not only is there bench data and test tubes, as well as clinical data, there can be extensive reversal of any and all kind of damage with the right approach and treatment. Okay, the brain is so much more plastic than people think for such longer time in aging than they think, right? And so that's really my answer. Yes, there can be long-term damage. I don't want to say damage. That's the wrong word. I'm going to say use the term changes, because that's what the same thing the researchers use, is the term changes.
Dr. B, I have to ask you a question. So for a lot of us that use methamphetamine, now that we're in recovery, we are tired all the time. We feel like we don't have any like get up and go. And like what can a person do besides like working out and eating healthy that can help them? How do we fix that? Because a lot of us, I guess you would call it like anhedonia, where we don't have like pleasure in things. And so what can we do to like combat that? Because every time I talk about being in recovery from meth, like a lot of people struggle really, really badly with that. Just, I just have, it's like my gas tank's on E 24/7.
Yeah, I don't think it necessarily, number two things, you're, for someone that's as far away as you are, I don't think it's necessarily on E. I think that might, because I know how much you get done in a 24-hour period, right?
Yeah.
So that's not number one. Number two, whatever issues are there, I can't say, and again, I'm talking about someone that's far away in recovery, like yourself, right? Not 6 months, not 3 months. That's a whole different thing. But we're talking about years and years. Number two, you don't know, you can't recall, I don't know what your baseline was anyway. And I'm going to make a bold claim here. You certainly are more productive than 75%, 80% of the people I know. There's some really freaks out there that are just going nuts all the time. And so that being the case, I would say, so certainly exercise, appropriate diet, lifestyle. But I'm going to say a lot of this is our own perception and bias of how, somebody, this might sound silly to you guys, but I think it's true. When you walk around and you're like, oh, I'm beat, I'm weak, you know what? Sit there for a minute, sit up straight, right? Take a few deep breaths, right? And really meditate for about 3 minutes. I'm not tired, right? I'm not old. I'm not having memory issues. And you start repeating these things to yourself. And this stuff, I'm telling you guys, there's data behind all
It
this.
works. It works.
It works because it's real. Now, whether you're changing your neural networks or whether you're starting to see things in ways that you've built up since you were young from the input you got from the world outside of you. If mom is walking around for 15 years from when you were born and saying, oh, I'm tired, I'm so tired, that's ingrained in your psyche. So Nicole's in her 30s or whatever and running around and getting more done than half the population. And she's like, I'm tired. And maybe, and so everyone from the meth recovery long term, I really think in some ways a lot of things is our choice. How tired I am is my choice. Sit up, stand up straight, take a deep breath, go exercise, get your shit done, and move forward. It's silly to me for you to be feeling tired. I mean, you are extremely active.
I think it's my expectation of the way I should feel. Like I have this like expectation that I should wake up in the morning. I don't know what it is, but it's like a expectation versus reality. You know what I mean? And so I just need to start focusing more on, like, I don't realize that. Like you just told me, Nicole, you get so much stuff done. I see how hard you work. And sometimes I guess because I'm me, I don't look outside of myself and see that other people are looking at me and saying, wow, look how much stuff she gets done. That I needed to hear that. So thank you, Dr. B.
No, I mean this is true, and there's studies on this stuff, about how your neural networks come to be, how you perceive yourself, how you perceive the world, the relations you have, and I just think there's so much more in every individual, and this is what people that are suffering from addiction. Now we're talking in this case methamphetamine abuse, and some are away from it and thinking about the damage done. No, sit there, do the right thing. And I'm going to tell everybody out there, life is not about a sprint. Everything good comes to you from not hundreds, but thousands and thousands of mini, completely non-perfect actions and failures. And then you will be sitting at top of the mountain, whatever your mountain is for you. Right. And this is something we need to learn in this society where everything's overnight.
The mountain, I was just telling it to Dr. B, you guys, that I bought my first ever brand new couch. And I've never been able to buy a brand new couch before. And I was able to pay a moving crew to move me and my family into a new home because I had money saved up for it. And I've never been able to do that. Like, that is a huge deal for me. I am 40 years old. I've been sober for 7.5 years. And I just this year have finally got to a point where I'm able to finance my own place, pay for movers, get a new couch, get a new big screen TV. Like, I am so freaking proud of myself. And sometimes I feel like kind of embarrassed because I'm 40 and I'm just now getting all this stuff done, but I'm so excited about it at the same time,
Absolutely. We were talking about this, and Joe, don't go anywhere because I saw your two things. I get but Nicole, I was blown away by what she was saying today, and I pointed it out to her, the same thing, right? This is what you've been working for all these years. It's not something, it's a great victory. And what Joe said early was, she said, I get what you're saying, but why do I feel like this? And then she went on to say, easier said than done, doctor. You are absolutely right. It's not easy, right? But I'm going to tell you, Joe, get your butt up every morning, look in the mirror, stand up straight, give yourself a high five, and smile, right? A trainer taught me this, right? Give yourself a high five as silly as you feel, smile, and tell yourself something positive, okay? when you make that mechanism of giving yourself a high five, because we've already learned in society, in Western culture, when you do that, it's a victorious thing, it's a glorious thing. There's going to be some sort of dopamine rush and a euphoric mechanism. I want you to get up every morning, stand up straight, look at yourself in the mirror, give yourself a high five, give it a try, all the difficulties you have to face throughout the day, because nobody's going to do it for any of us. And at some point, I saw somebody saying, or Mo was saying, true strength comes from within. It's all inside of you. Find people that support you. Validate yourself. Have people that validate you. Don't look for major victories. It's okay to fall every single day and get up the next day and do it again. That's what each and every one of us has to do. And this community in particular, they have to find compassionate professional care that understands the biology behind this thing, the pharmacology behind this thing, the neuroplasticity behind this thing, the nature of this beast that goes over and over, and people fall in different ways, and just keep pushing forward and pushing forward. So you are right. I don't mean to make light of it and say it's easy. It's not easy. I hope that helps, Joe.
Yeah, it was listen to me, you guys. I just recently lost like over 30 pounds. And for 7.5 years, I've been miserable and overweight. And I'm trying to get to this point where I'm going to lose 30 more pounds. The hardest thing for me to do was to get started and to stay consistent. And I would start and then I would fall off and I would get discouraged and I would quit. And since I moved into this new place, it's like I have a brighter look on life. My depression has lifted and I'm ready to go. And I'm telling you, I got to hanging out with people online that are in like support groups who are also trying to do the same thing that I'm trying to do. And so like they cheer me on and we like work together to try and encourage each other, just like in recovery. So you should get with us on Facebook. Dr. B has a Facebook account and then I have one. You'll see me on there, Dr. B Addiction Recovery though. And we have like stuff we post that's encouraging. And then you can get into like our private group with me and we all hang out and encourage each other and help each other. So that can help you, you know? So I want to say something to this person, Dr. B. Kate says, we want to be together and stay together. I miss him so much. Do we have a chance if we stay clean? I just want to tell you something, Kate. Me and my husband were addicted to drugs. He was addicted to drugs for 20 years. I was addicted to drugs for like 15. We are married. We are sober. We have our son back. We're successful. And so you can do anything you put your mind to if you stay sober. For real.
Absolutely. And overcoming this thing, I want to say something and then I got to kind of close off. I'm sorry. I got to go. I'm going to get on here more and I want to talk about what we initially talked about. Nicole said we can do anything if we put on minds to it and staying sober. And in fact, I want every single one of you guys in any area you're interested to look at the human historical record. I always feel that sometimes some people talk about miracles and they really trifle it down to something really trite and stupid and cartoon-like. You want to know what's miraculous and what's mysterious to me?
What?
The strength of what it is to be a human being and the things that every individual has accomplished in different times in history and what the things that people have overcome. Once you feed into that power, this stuff becomes kind of second nature to you to be able to push forward every day and overcome, putting your mind into it, like you said. So I don't want anyone out there to lose hope. I don't want anyone out there to think that they're alone. I don't want anyone out there to think, oh man, the topic tonight, he's saying, no, not really. At the moment, there's no medication-assisted treatment for methamphetamines in the way there are for opiates. That's okay, right? We have, yes, misunderstood. It is normal. We have what we have, and everybody can overcome. Look at Nicole. Look at the thousands of other people that overcome. Nothing is overnight. It is what it is. And I think Carl Jung said something to the effect, You are not what has been done to you in the past. And I'm paraphrasing it, but my piece of it is, or what you've done to yourself in the past. Today's a new day. Start tomorrow. I almost want to start talking about shadow work and Carl Jung here, but I won't. I also want to add what we started off with this evening was methamphetamines. Is there medication replacement, meaning things like Adderall, Ritalin, and prescription psychoactive stimulants? The data seems to be showing that there's something potentially very promising there, but a lot of work needs to be done. So don't think that tomorrow you can go to your local doctor, addiction psychiatrist, whatever, and say, hey, give me some Adderall or Ritalin so I can get off of this stuff. It's not that easy. We've all tried it, and that data shows that it's not that straightforward. 3, Nicole, we're going to start doing this more often. I have some other videos coming up. This was lovely and wonderful. Guys, again, subscribe to the channel, consider Patreon for as little as $3 a month. It helps us produce all this stuff. And that's where I'm at.
Thanks, Dr. B, for letting me come live with you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for helping me get through this idiot box that I always fumble through. And I'm the idiot. Hey, TikTok guys, thank you for joining. You can probably see this after they fix it. And if you didn't see it all, Dr. B Addiction Recovery on YouTube. I had a lot of fun. Everybody out there that joined us, both on TikTok and all these awesome names that I want to go through each one of you and say, hey, how are you doing? How's it going? How's the whole thing? You know, I recognize so many names here, Misunderstood. I just saw her. But everybody out there, stay strong, you know, stay together, be non-judgmental to the world around you, keep your own house clean, try and make yourself a better person in any way and every way you can. Through all of that, you will find redemption and recovery on top of my medications and anybody else's medications. You will sleep well at night and someday go very gently into that good night. Peace. Good night. Nicole, thank you very much. TikTok, goodbye, guys. And that's it.
All right. See you later, Doc.
Bye.